.6:46, November 29th, 2021. I'm going for a run. I'm tired. I'm gonna do my push-ups. I'm gonna get right. But you know what's funny? Do you ever consider when people pray for something and they beg God and they pray and they're crying, and once they get what they've prayed for, they start complaining. They get complacent, they get lazy. Their selfishness starts coming out. That's our topic for today. So let's get to work. And by the way, are you doing your homework? Quick break, 2 miles in. Let me start with my story before I dive into people's bad habits. I remember when I was unemployed for 4 years. I remember talking to God every single day, getting on my knees, pleading, crying, feeling broken, feeling worthless. I couldn't find a job. And I remember in that moment, I told God, if I land a job, no matter what it is, I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to take it for granted, because I know what it is to be unemployed. I know what it is to be abandoned by people that say they cared for you and they didn't. When life knocks you down and you have that conversation with God, you have to remember that moment for the rest of your life. Once you get what you've been asking for, it's time to show up. It's time to pay that debt that's owed. A goal of mine is to be good at pull-ups. I'm doing one. And once I get better, I'm going to do more. But every single day, I'm gonna practice doing one good pull-up. That was terrible, but that's my benchmark. Get better every single day. You can't see my face, but I remember in 2017 that I told myself that I was leaving education forever. And that was a very difficult decision. I told myself, and I asked God, that once I leave, I'm not turning back. I'm only pushing forward. And that when my core got shook, when my core got struck with doubt, defeat, loss, that I'll remember that moment. So I left teaching with that mindset that I had to leave this vine, this zone of comfort behind in order to go forward. Miles in, I remember this. When I landed a job finally, I stopped counting how many applications after 200. But when I finally landed my job, it was a temporary job. You know, you get the bare minimum. And I understood, as much as I wanted to complain about how much I was getting paid, again, I thought about my deal with God. I told myself there's no complaining at this point, because literally everything that you've been begging for, you've been crying for, you've been pleading for, you got. So now it's time to show up and do the due diligence that's necessary and get to work. Now, with that, I'll never forget the day that I landed my job, December 3rd, 2020. I was in the middle of building a company, and I was down to my less than $500. And I'm talking, if December would have gone by, I would have been flat broke. That was 4 years of me eating through my life's savings to survive. Quick breather before I go home. I got another 5 miles, 6 miles, 10 miles. I can't remember. But anyway, everything that I've mentioned before, what I'm gonna say, I will talk about it in more detail. But to get back to the subject of people and their selfishness, when you beg for that job, when you beg for that relationship to work out, when you beg for more money, better yet, let me rephrase everything that I just said. When you pray for that job, when you pray for a better stage in your relationship, when you pray for whatever you pray for and you get it, you have to remember that it's not your happiness. Remember what it took for you to get where you're at now. Remember when you didn't have what you have now. And whenever you find yourself complaining, think about all the people that don't have what you have. Think about all the people that are worse off than you. Think about all the people that are in a bed, in some hospital, somewhere around this world, or in their house, or in a hospice ward, on their last breath, in their last and final hours. It's easy to complain. It's easy to whine about what you don't have, about how unfair people are, about how unjust your life is. But if you have the capability to change it, change it. If you sit down and you write about it and you dream about a better life, once you get it, don't complain, don't whine, don't bitch and moan. Do what you have to do. Put your big boy pants on, put your big girl pants on, and step up to the plate. Don't waste a prayer if you're gonna be about inaction. Yes, life is extremely difficult, but what's the point of praying? What's the point of going through all of that, overcoming adversity, to just do nothing with it? Isn't that sort of selfish? Let me flip this conversation back to me. There's been moments where I've complained, where I wanted to quit, where I was frustrated with my life. I'm human. But in each of those moments, I always remind myself, look where you came from. Last year around this time, you didn't have what you have now. There's no complaining. If you want to complain, focus all that energy into doing more, into bettering yourself, into learning more skill sets. And that has been the pivotal moment of my self-development. I push myself every single day as much as I possibly can because life is too short. I want to live for today like it's my last day, because when I'm ready to go, I want to make sure that what I leave behind is meaningful. It's not something that came out of laziness or came out as a handout. It's something that I worked for. And that's what life is about. I get it. I say the same things over and over, but what comes out of my mouth is what I do believe in. I wholeheartedly stand by everything that I say. Back to this run.